I'm joined by Ndugu Monday Akol Amazima, a Pan-African and a regional political analyst. Good afternoon to you, and may I say, may his soul rest in peace, and sorry for your loss.
In Swahili we say Makiwa.
Makiwa.
Yeah, it's my pleasure being on this show.
Okay, let's start with giving us a perspective on the legacy that such a strong statesman leaves behind.
Odinga will be remembered as a man who ruled Kenya's politics, who the president seemed near, but too far from him. Okay. At every election, everybody thought that he's making it, only for the other person to emerge the winner. Then also leaves the legacy of reconciliation, that he was put behind bars by Moi, but he later reconciled with Moi. He had issues with Kenyatta, but he later came up with the BBI Building Bridges initiative. He had issues with the current president, Dr. William Ruto, but you see they were trying to come up with a government of national unity. So he's somebody who actually, after elections, he tries to make sure that he mends fences. So the spirit of reconciliation. Spirit of reconciliation. Yes, yes.
How is the ODM going to reconcile with this death?
Yeah, the death of Odinga is definitely a big blow to ODM, because ODM is not going to remain the same. He was that magnet, was that glue that kept ODM together. And definitely his death leaves a very, very, very big gap, not only in ODM, but also in Luo, where actually his word was more than Luo.
Yes. Yes. And speaking of Luo and the Kisumu communities were some of the stronger, centers for his dynasty. What does this mean for their communities and the emerging leaders?
This means that there is actually a very big vacuum now that is left, because when Jaramogi died, there was all indications that Raila Odinga was standing in. Yeah. But now we don't see any of Raila's children who are strong enough to fill that vacuum. And also we don't see any other players, because you see there is James Orengo, there is Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, there is Dr. Evans Kidero. You see they are pulling different directions. So we are yet to see what exactly will step in to bring the Luo Nyanza together so that they can still fight for the presidency. And
finally, Mr. Monday, another community that is now having to adjust with this news is the opposition community, opposition leaders in Kenya, but also in the region. What lessons can they pick from such a fallen star?
Odinga was such an influence on opposition politics, not only in Kenya, but also in the entire region. And in Kenya, his really absence is going to be felt by the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, the likes of Martha Karua, because he's one such person who was a frontline fighter. He's one such person who was a master of violence, and he was one such person who was also a master of dialogue. So they really need to get somebody who has the three attributes and can bring the opposition together so that they can really face President William Ruto. But to President William Ruto, actually, the death of Raila Odinga, yes, also sends him back on the drawing board, because now he needs to see how he's going to dig deep into the ODM basis so that he can pull them to his side, so that 2027 he can be able to have them vote for him. And
finally, on a personal note, away from the politics, you as a scholar of regional and African political emergency, what do you pick from Raila Odinga moving forward?
Well, I pick from Raila Odinga is that the opposition should always learn to know who to use when and how. Because Raila was such a person who, even in the opposition, he knew which buttons to press. And he had no permanent enemies. He knew which people which soft spots in the government to use. And that's why you find that it was always easier for him. Then the other thing that we should also learn from Odinga is he was a great fundraiser and a friendly person. He had friends across the world. That he was a great friend, that at every other time he was having an election, his campaign, you'd think that he's the person in government. So this is an attribute, because I can see most of the opposition candidates in Uganda choking on money. Yes. So this is something they need to really study his life and know how has he been doing it, so that it can help them propel their political careers.
All right, thank you so much, Ndugu Monday Akol, for giving us your 2 cents on Raila Odinga, a fallen political star within East Africa and more particularly for Kenya. May his soul rest in eternal peace.